Watt has tied Michael Strahan's single-season record.
Oh, no.
In the air to right. This is deep. And he did it again. Jack Suwinski wins it for the Pirates. 3 home runs in a game.
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio, right here in the municipal building in Bethel Park. I'm Alan Levine, the talking machine. Smoking Jim Frazier notified me at 6:07, hey machine, my car's overheating, I'm going to miss the show. With no further ado, we have former cameraman, father of Mark Rohde, Marco Rohde, sorry about that, the O dropped off. We have, they call him Big Mike, but I call him Mike Rohde. So welcome aboard.
Yeah. Thank you, honored. Thank you very much.
Of course, for all of you,
Marco's watching.
For all of Guns fans who wonder where's Guns at, Guns is rotating with Chip Hayner. He's been on the show for almost 12 years now. Our anniversary is October 11th, 2011. Guns is here in person tonight every other week. So next week when you're disappointed, please watch the show. Chip will be back, but here's Jim Guns Ellenbogen. Woo. Next, we got Nick VIP Callis. And I want to thank all of you for watching our show. It's a little different format because losing Smoking Jim, my best friend, he's hardly ever missed the show in the last 3 years. And he did miss a couple months ago when he had a mysterious surgical procedure.
You can still talk about him if he's not here.
Well, he might be watching. He's known to watch.
All the better, right?
Yeah. So if I talk about him, Guns, thanks for watching. Paul Haley, thanks for watching. Marco, we hope you get better. Some prayers that you get healthy. Nice to see and talk to you and watch all the video your dad and you were putting up on their 98-inch TV screen.
Nice.
And the food was delicious. My son Drew, tell Diane, thank you. And my fans from Rochester, Peggy and Nick, Mike's parents, I'm still thinking of Marco. Peggy made the best baked bean and bacon conglomeration. I got some home. Diane packed me a care package. My son said thank you. I say thank you. Just a great time. Johnny's here in the studio. Thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Mariano. I had great conversations with both of them, and they like watching our show. And in Rochester, any of the new fans up there, we just tell it like it is in Pittsburgh, so I hope you enjoy it. All right, Paul Haley, good to see Guns tonight. Chief McElroy's watching. Paul Haley watching from Northern Virginia on Facebook. What happened to South Carolina, Paul?
He's a traveling man.
All right, so thanks for watching us on Comcast 21. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in the greater Pittsburgh area from Nemacolin, Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. So we appreciate you. And Nick VIP Callis did all my promos by video, so you're going to see that right now. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Strikers. I worked there for 36 years. My former union, CWA PPMWS 14842, Pittsburgh Local Mailers Union number 22, is on strike. Even though health care benefits were secured for workers by the union, Post-Gazette management cut them out without the union's approval and still expected workers to show up without any coverage. Please cancel your Post-Gazette subscriptions online or in print. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Union Strikers. Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria in the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV. Stay Joey Strong. Joey Fabus died at 8 years old of brain cancer known as DIPG. Since then, the family has come together with community members to create the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Since being founded, they've raised over $100,000. Go to jfccf.org to learn more about DIPG, to help spread awareness, and to see how else you can support and donate towards the fight against this dreaded brain cancer. Always Be Smiling, a 501c3 designed to help children and families in need of kidney transplants. The B stands for Bennett, whose memory is embedded in this organization by his parents, Kristen and Dean. Despite the challenges he faced in his 16 and a half years of life, Bennett always had a smile on his face and spread kindness to everyone he could. Now, Always Be Smiling wants to pass on that kindness. Go to alwaysbesmiling.org to learn more and see how you can support or donate to this organization. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. I'm Al Levine, trustee on the board of this great organization. The BPCF focuses on raising money to provide scholarships, grants, endowments, and more. Grant requests are available online from $100 to $5,000. You can also attend fundraisers or donate. Go to bpcf.org to get more information and to stay up to date on upcoming events. The Bethel Park Community Foundation, focusing community resources, building for the future. The Bethel Park Historical Society is a 501c3 that serves Bethel Park. The Historical Society operates out of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, located at 2600 South Park Road. Look for the red and white trolley right out front. Reginald's Coffee is inside, and I've heard it's the best coffee around. To visit this great historical venue, email historicalsocietybp@gmail.com.
And now this message from BPTV.
Alas, poor talking machine. I knew him well. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy?
Dave, I'm not dead. I'm still doing Pittsburgh Sportsline every Tuesday night and many other weekly shows on BPTV.
That's great, Al, but then who's this?
I don't know, but we must leave right now. Let's go. Help save Pittsburgh police officer Jeffrey Crawford. Jeffrey is in need of a kidney donation. He's in stage 5 renal failure and he's on dialysis 3 times a week. He needs this kidney ASAP. To contact the UPMC donor registry, call 412-647-4438 or go to livingdonorreg.upmc.com. And to help spread awareness, use the hashtag #BlessJeff on socials. Let's come together to support Pittsburgh policeman Jeffrey Crawford in his time of need. Alex Reed is in need of a kidney. 2 weeks after college graduation, Alex's kidneys failed. A gracious donor gave Alex 7 years of life, but now he needs another kidney. To learn more about becoming a donor for Alex, call 830-285-2140 or go to kidneysolutions.org. Zhang Taekwondo just opened a new location in the South Hills, along with its location in Wexford and its inclusion in the curriculum of Provident Charter School in Troy Hill. Zhang uses Taekwondo to teach its students confidence and self-discipline through physical fitness. Zhang is offering a 4-week special. You get a uniform and lessons for $30. If you mention the Talking Machine, Smokin' Jim, or VIP Nick, they'll give you a further discount. For more information, go to zhangtkd.com or call 724-934-9264. Margaret, a.k.a. Peggy, love the show. Nick and Peggy in Rochester. Nick, you had some great stories, and you're on NFL Films. And wait till you see your son on the show tonight. We just lucked out with that. Smokin' Jim has an overheating car. All right, Paul Haley, good to see Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and Nick, too.
Yeah.
Visiting family on the way to weekend wedding in the Berg this weekend. Have a safe trip, Paul. And now, with no further ado, we got to introduce our guest, substitute co-host for Smokin' Jim Frazier. He has size 27 shoes that he buys for $20 on the streets. We got Mike Rohde stepping in. What's on your mind?
Thank you. I'm not quite sure because I had about 10 minutes to prepare. John gave me a call and said, "Hey, Nick's queuing you up on the prompt." And I'm like, "Well, to do what? For the camera?" I'm like, "No, you're on." I'm like, "All right, I better think of something quick." So thank you.
Take a deep breath and go ahead. You're
it's
welcome.
It's an honor. Thank you so much. It's
You're welcome.
big shoes to fill.
They are. More than you know.
Yeah. So on the
And they
way,
vary.
on the way, Al said, sports. You watch sports. What are you thinking of? The only thing that's in my head is Boston missing, I think, their first 13
we'll go to
three-pointers. That was all stuck in my head as far as sports.
Well,
but
how much of it did you watch?
probably about the first into the third quarter when Boston's offense. It's what amazes me about the NBA, and I haven't watched it in a while. Frankly, when I moved to Pittsburgh, I kind of switched from a Celtics fan to a Penguins fan. My brain can only handle so much sports, I guess. But it amazes me, What amazes me is how different the game is now, and I really hadn't watched it in a while, that it's all, where'd I miss? When did it change to just shooting three-pointers?
Steph Curry.
I actually said, I was watching with my dad, and I said, I guess this is the Steph Curry effect, because there was no such thing as setting up an offense. Even when they passed inside, they passed right back outside to take three-pointers, and that's all there was. And I'm like, is this really what the NBA is now? It's just been so long since I've watched it.
You missed one other thing. You know how offensive linemen in the NFL hit each other? That's what NBA does.
It's
So there's that in addition to it.
Yeah, it's unrecognizable. I watched college basketball a lot longer up when Pitt was good up until about a few years ago. I'm not a huge basketball fan per se, to be honest.
Well, when
with
they
you,
got rid of Jamie Dixon because he wouldn't get to the finals.
Yeah, and then what happened?
Just finally made the tournament.
Yeah, well, basketball, I've always said, just turns into free throw shooting contests at the end. It drives me nuts. But I did stick with college basketball up until Pitt kind of turned, then I haven't watched it. But it's been a while since I watched NBA. And boy, that was it was hard to watch. I wasn't even sure what I was watching.
Wait till you get to be this old.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. Don't look at me.
Well, I'm not that far behind.
Officially, he's older than me.
Maybe. It's not how old you are, it's how you are old.
Well, I never
like
grew
that.
up, so I'm good, in my opinion.
So you say.
I know. Bill Means is watching, a KO grad. Thanks for watching, Bill. Mike, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, and we'll have another segment for you to think of something else that piques your interest. It could be in general about sports, or you can tell a story or two about your dad, things like that, or
Excellent.
about you at games. You can cover any subject. You see how I give guidance. All right, we got to go to guns. What's on your mind?
Well, the big story in the Berg this week was they stole Kenny Pickett's SUV with the playbook in the car. Everybody was going crazy. Really? Everybody in this town knows Canada's playbook. He's got 3 plays in it.
Oh, jeez.
The one play, hand the ball to Najee. The second play, Pickett, go long. The third play, Johnson, go 3 feet short of the first down marker and then try to run to it. And that's their playbook. Oh, well. So let's talk a little bit about some Steelers stuff here. Last year, the Steelers had the least amount of touchdowns except for Indianapolis, right? So Pittsburgh fans want more touchdowns, right? So everybody's thinking, well, we're going to do some drafting, get Kenny going, get some more touchdowns. But I don't think that's what's happening here. Because if they were looking for the long ball and the long touchdowns, their drafts would have drafted some of those outstanding wide receivers, those speedsters.
Like they've been doing.
But they didn't, did they?
What changed?
They beefed up the offensive line, and people thought it was for the long ball. No. That line put another 50 pounds on. You'd think they had Christmas dinner. That's a smash mouth running line. That's why he brought those two Eagles over. Now, if they were looking to help Kenny with the long ball, they would have drafted one of those tight ends that's one of those like ex-forwards in college basketball, like Tampa's. But what did they do? They got a guy that's literally, Washington, is an actual another lineman. He's a beast at 6'7", 280?
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, this is smash mouth. And I think what the Steelers have done here, that the only thing I think we're going to see in Canada's new book is
Whoa, he's calling.
they're looking for, it's probably, sorry.
Hold it. Let me interrupt you, Guns, while you're on this little tirade.
Well, that's Mike. Do you want me?
I heard a rumor that Tomlin and his team have been listening to Pittsburgh Sportsline since Guns got on last year. And what have we talked about nonstop? Offensive line, defensive line, tougher defense, even though they're the number one paid defense. And what would you call a quarterback that only threw 7 touchdowns?
There you go. What you're
Carry
gonna
on.
what you're going to see this year is they're looking for first down to be a better first down. Instead of like 1 yard or 2 yards, they're looking for 5-6 yards on first down and then have 2 plays to get the other first down. You're going to see it, believe me. And on defense, this is where me and Tomlin really knock heads because all Tomlin wants to do is talk about the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
He's let guys go. He's bringing in more. He brought in Peterson. He drafted, Joey's kid. And then he drafted another guy behind him.
Yeah.
Remember them big runs that they had on the Steelers? They tried to
Yeah.
plug that hole with that one tackle. He's a run guy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The number, and not that I know anything about playing defensive backfield, right?
Hold it. Some of your fans know you're the only white quarterback still alive in Pittsburgh.
That's what they say. I'm like Tigger. I'm the only one. The point is this. As a corner, as a safety, what makes you better than anything? It's when the quarterback does not have as much time to throw the ball as he did.
Good point, Guns.
And the best part about it is, why don't you get some defensive ends that are 280 that can rush the passer to shorten the time span to make your defensive backfield
Hold it. That's
better?
not the NFL.
Well, it's definitely not Mike.
Yeah.
And that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Guns. All right, we'll go to Nick VIP Callis. What's on your mind?
Kenny Pickett and the stolen SUV. Because
Again.
Well,
this is
here's
double
why.
Session.
Because you might not know when the SUV got stolen. It was shortly after Thursday. We were doing shows at our Studio B location.
What studio is that?
In Monroeville. It's a Bowser Chevrolet studio.
What
and
station?
93.7 The Fan.
Okay.
So you guys, but here's the thing, because no, Kenny was doing an interview with the PM team when it got stolen, and they just told the story of what happened because he was there getting interviewed in that Studio B in Monroeville, and then there was this shady guy who came in and was just like trying to hang out with him, eating a chocolate donut, saying, "Oh, just pretend I'm not here. I'm a normal guy."
Hold it,
And-
Nick. I got to do a disclaimer on you for the first time ever.
Oh yeah.
12 years on my show. Smoking Jim Frazier said, God's country, there's no crime, there's no snow, there's always sunshine and good people. What are you saying?
I guess I'm saying there was a crime committed in Monroeville. So, you know what? I mean, maybe that's why Smoking's not here. He knew I was going to tell this story. So we can't
That's
disclaim
what
him.
I'm thinking. If he's watching,
Suspicious.
I know he's LOLing.
But yeah, so they were in the middle of interviewing him when his SUV got stolen, which I thought was interesting. And I guess the lesson here is that if somebody approaches you and says, I'm normal, maybe be a little more suspicious to that. Because that's what he did. He was literally just sitting around. If you want to hear the whole story, you can. Go back on thefan.com, 937thefan.com, and listen, plug in. But yeah, no, if you want to hear their whole story, because they were there and they experienced it, but pretty much this guy was just hanging around the studio saying, oh, don't bother me, I'm just a big fan, I'm normal. And then and then he stole his car and in the middle of the show. So fun stuff there. Also, Le'Veon Bell apparently wants to come back to the Steelers. That's interesting. At first I was like, heck no. And then I thought about it. And a fan asked this morning, would you take Derek Watt or Le'Veon Bell? And I was like, I'd probably take Bell, to be honest with you, see what he got. At least give him a tryout, maybe, if he can be forgiven. I mean, what he did was kind of terrible. And I mean,
smoking dope before every game?
That part's not terrible. That part's not terrible. I meant the part where
I couldn't hold back. I was letting Guns gonna do it, but I had to jump ahead of him because we think alike.
There's nothing.
Well, being a rap singer.
There's nothing inherently wrong with doing that. He was definitely an irresponsible person, and he even admitted to a story of where he got a DUI for that and missed a flight and missed a preseason game because he missed his flight because he got a DUI.
Was he drinking and smoking dope?
No, he was just driving under the. You can drive under the influence of smoking. That's.
Well, I wanted you to clarify.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so
I can play dumb a little bit, so I appreciate you trying to correct me.
So at any rate, I mean that stuff not great, and if the team could forgive him, I say give him a tryout. But then again, you just got to weigh that between do we forgive him for just kind of giving or holding back on the team and using his own selfish motivations to not play in 2018. That's up to the team. If they were willing to forgive that, give him a shot. I don't see why not, other than that other stuff. But if you can forgive him, give him a shot. If he can still play, give him a shot. But it all just depends how the team feels. I wouldn't be so hasty to just say no right away, though. That's what's on my mind.
What will they pay him? $1 million?
If he'd play for peanuts, that'd be great. Actually, if they cut him on
I've
got him for a steal.
I've negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts. He's worth about 2 cents, but I'd give him $1 million, so at least he'd have his.
They
own
signed him
pride.
for the minimum. Why wouldn't you do that either? Sign him for the minimum.
What is it?
How old is he now?
30-ish, 31.
Did he just want one carry and retire, or does he want a full-blown shot to come back?
Somewhere between those two.
Well, that's when they usually blow up at 31.
He did say he wants to retire as a Steeler. I think the quote was he wants to retire as a Steeler even if he only got one carry, but that also leaves it open to, if you give me more carries, I'll do that too.
Well, thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
You made us think. Good evening, George Malerbo says, guy I worked with 30-some years at the Post-Gazette. Anthony Bacco's watching. He'll clarify it. Thought he wants to play one preseason game, then retire a Steeler. And Anthony Bacco, being funny, says, give him a year of free joints. You don't have to. He has them.
If he smokes enough, he'll think he had to play anyway. Just tell him he did.
Great game. He believed it anyhow.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Glad you brought that up. All right, what's on my mind? Somebody brought up NBA. They're not watching many NBA games this year, and we got the finals coming up with Miami and the Nuggets, Denver Nuggets. Then Drew and I watch hockey, and we saw the Knights win 6-0, and their goaltenders only gave up 12 goals in 6 games. So not only they have offense, they have defense. So if you're watching some NBA and NHL, I respect you. And it's not that popular, so I wonder why. Maybe Mike alluded to it. Things have changed. So we'll see. All right, we got to go to our next segments. I don't have a segment for Mike. I tried to pause a little extra so he could think about a couple things. All right, what do you want to do on the Mike Rohde special assignment?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll dig into that a little bit. It's a couple of weeks ago, you said something about how the USFL ratings were about the same as the NHL ratings, and I've been thinking a lot about that. And that really blew my mind, and it's pretty sad.
Yeah, it really
because
is.
it's it's a good sport. The problem is that it's two different sports. There's the regular season, and then there's the playoffs. When all together now, refs put away their whistles. sticks between legs, clutching and grabbing. So a basically talentless team like Florida, who only got in because the Penguins couldn't beat the Blackhawks at home, right?
Great point.
On a wing and a prayer. And all of a sudden they're in the finals because they've got a hot goalie, and they clutched and grabbed their way. You know,
Magic.
yeah, right, exactly, and it's unwatchable. It's nothing like the regular season. You know, Boston set records, flying high. I mean, I don't like the Bruins either, but I sure would rather see them play.
Oh,
than
then you rooted
Florida.
for him at one time.
Oh,
Now
it's-
you're a Pittsburgher. We accept it.
You know, hockey. The only way it can improve itself is to increase scoring, right? You know, soccer, most popular sport in the world. No one watches it and watches it here. No one wants to see 2-1 games. No one wants to see 2-1 games in hockey either, right?
I don't want to watch 1-0.
Yeah, exactly. It's we like scoring in this country, right? And you know, baseball and
Speak for
football
yourself.
baseball and football and most other sports can be a little bit academic because you've got Tony Romo in between every play, like diagraphing. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. You know, in between every
He's
pitch,
like
you've got someone.
Nostradamus of football.
Yeah, pitch. They come in and they talk about a swerve this way, that way, all over the place, and you know. Hockey doesn't have that. Hockey goes they substitute while the game's still going on, right? So I've been watching hockey forever. I know what's going on, but it still looks like ants running around a hill. If you don't really know, and they don't have a time to split away and say, oh, this is what happened here. So it just kind of looks like a jumbled mess of guys hitting each other and goalies making saves in that little tiny box, and
Mike,
it's almost
one point
impossible to
I
score.
want to make is people like to see the football, the baseball. How hard is it to see and follow a puck?
It's better now with HD
Well,
TV, but I
yeah.
remember back in the 90s when you couldn't, it was like watching golf when
Yeah.
they would tee off and you're like, where's the ball? You know what I mean?
Then you see guys coming up.
And remember Fox, when Fox got a hold of it for a while, they put that blue disc around the
Yeah.
puck and everything. That was terrible. Thank God that went away. But the only thing that can save hockey, in my opinion, is more scoring. I've said for years.
Bigger net.
Bigger net. You know, get rid of blue lines, red lines. I don't care.
Get
Something
rid of the
drastic.
goaltender.
Get rid of the goaltenders. Who needs them?
Some of
Make
the
their pads,
goaltenders are
make their
getting
pads
bigger.
smaller at
Make the
least.
net-
Something, because it's that's not hockey. All right, well, great. Pat yourself on the back all the way to your USFL ratings, because nobody's watching you, and it gets even worse during the playoffs. It's just simply unwatchable. Even when the Penguins were in. Remember when they scored 2 goals against the Bruins in that series a few years ago because Boston just clutched and grabbed them for 4 games? I mean, it was just awful, just awful. So
Paul Haley has a comment. Correct, Mike. Bobrovsky is 80% of the team, although Florida did nothing but hustle. And then I want to throw a word out for you, Canadians. They want to control the sport. Why do you have fighting in the sport? Anthony Bacco just said some people watch it for the fights, which are very few now. But
what do they have, 5 teams?
no, but I'm
on,
saying
why does it
no,
always
the
come
old
back
school
to
Canadians
Yeah, but
control it though.
why? Because they've got the Toronto,
Yeah.
the flagship team, I guess. I
And
don't
look
know.
how much money they spend and they don't win.
Exactly. You know, so I don't know. I don't understand why that influence is still there.
No, I just
why
gave
they
the
can't.
reasons that I see from watching
Oh
it.
no, I agree with you. I mean, look what baseball did. Radical changes. Radical changes. Everybody loves it except Jim. Everybody. Radical changes,
got
and
a
it's
good
so
memory,
much
doesn't
better
he?
to watch. You have to move forward with sports, and the NHL did it a little bit, right? They got rid of. They've changed here. They've tweaked it there, but not enough. There's not enough scoring. There's not enough people who understand the game because it doesn't stop. You can't take a step back to kind of examine it scientifically. It's go, 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 go. Commercial. Go, 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 go. And I mean, they want to call me. I've got some answers for them, but, you know.
We won't give his phone number out now. This is his first show. He just came from a great cameraman and bringing his son here, Marco. It's a great job there, Mike. Thank you very much.
You deserve a standing
we
ovation.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
And you fit one of Smoking Jim's shoes. Because by now, he would have had 4 cuts of pizza down. I've had people ask me, is he the only one that eats pizza? And I go, no, we all get a piece.
Al, I ate leftovers from yesterday before I came, or else I would have ate some pizza.
The cooks, Diane and Brandy and Peggy, they were wonderful. They gave me a care package to go home. They even told me, you know how you get plastic containers? They said keep them. Now I got 335.
Right. Well, we have 635, so you can keep those.
So I salute you. Thank you. And thanks for the invite. All right, we're going next to Guns. Jim Ellenbogen and Guns. 10 seconds. It's on Rowan in the control room, who missed last week, and he looks strong tonight.
Let's talk about Knicks Pirates.
Whoa.
I'm just ownership now. Okay. Good.
Hold
May.
it. Before you start, don't mention the month of May.
I was just going to mention the month of May.
Rats. And I was too later. So
Go
Well,
ahead.
you know what?
I'll give an exception, but I just wanted to stay positive like I was the first month, watching more games than I watched in 3 years. So carry on.
Well, I'm still enjoying it because this team, compared to the other teams, there's always a possibility they're going to come out swinging.
As they say in hockey, they're gritty.
But the thing about them, they're better than they were, but when they're not there, they're not there. I mean,
It's one extreme or the other.
14 to what? What was it? 14
5,
to 4?
yeah, 5, 14
And
to
that's sad in itself. So when the
14-4.
pitching don't show up,
Oh, was it 4?
the hitting don't show up either. So, but I'm still enjoying them a little bit. I will correct myself about one thing, and I'm usually never wrong about this stuff, but
oh yeah, wow.
A Pittsburgh sports line first.
but so far I think that those new roles are actually helping the game. So I'll
Welcome
give-
aboard. I
I'll
agree.
give you kudos. Yeah, they really are. I didn't think they would, but people seem to like the shorter games.
And look at all the stealing.
But it's like everything else. You pay more and you get less.
Well, no, you're getting a game with more purposeful decisions made in it.
Tell them how your M&M packages are now.
I picked up a thing of M&Ms the other day because, see, you got to get me started because you know I like them. I picked it up. It was like $8, and I'm like, there's nothing in here. When I opened it up, I thought someone turned a fan on. It blew my hair all the way back.
That's a nice head of hair you got, guys.
It was all air. It's like everything else. And I was just getting over them cutting the Klondikes in half.
I know. I have fond memories of Klondike.
So, but anyways, getting back to the Pirates, we'll see. As far as the Penguins, who's going to be the general manager?
Kyle Dubas.
You think that's his
He's in the running. And he did well at Toronto, and he's a great analytical guy, and the Penguins want to get into that.
We've been hearing some things, so
Well, incidentally,
They
Al.
got sources.
I got sources.
Incidentally, Al had put me on assignment because we try to include all sports. So Al said, how about checking out some of these professional soccer games so maybe we can talk about them. But unfortunately, I fell
Nothing to
asleep
report.
twice. I sat there for like 3 days and I seen 2 goals. So, you better send Nick next
My
time.
point.
Well, I'll give you my Olympic story in soccer since Mike touched on it before we go to Nick. And by the way, Paul Haley, Mario argued for years about the gooning in hockey. Anthony Bacco, Alan, hate to say it, but you're right. The Pirates are the Pirates. Start 20-8, then they lost 19 out of the last 25. That's why I didn't want Guns to say it. He's a positive link on here.
Well,
And back to soccer during the Olympics, I think it was, 6-7 years ago, whenever one before the last one, I turned on to a soccer match because, football all over the world is the most popular sport. So I'm watching it for 5 minutes, and hold your breath, I saw 2 goals.
that's what I saw one. I was sleeping.
Yeah, I
on the
saw
other.
there was 2, and this is like 7-8 years ago. So I was painting the bathroom that day because I'd rather watch paint dry. So this is a true story. I went back, painted my bathroom, let it dry, saw the soccer game, football was over, and it was still 2-0. I didn't miss a thing.
No.
Can I say one
Yeah.
thing? I really got to be careful and apologize to my niece, who is a soccer star.
No,
up
I
in
salute
Rochester.
anybody
Rowan's a
that
soccer
plays.
And
player.
I love Jalen. I love soccer. I love soccer, dear. You're my favorite soccer player.
Well, you know what?
She scores 8 goals a game, so it's never been.
Excellent. I'll watch their game.
You know
I
what,
think
though?
there's-
watching high school and college.
That's
is
different.
Totally different. But once they go to Europe and they have the pros, I'm just not getting it.
What do you? That's so
We'll
backward.
debate that another day, but I just.
But
Oh,
I do
no,
have
no,
one
wait, hold on.
I
think,
have one more point though, but go ahead.
I think there's so many intricacies you can appreciate in soccer that don't involve scoring that make you want to watch because it's the anticipation of who could score, how they get down the field, and how they maneuver the field. Well, you could say no.
How many are on
if
the
you
bench?
don't try?
If you're European, I believe that because their minds are trained to watch for those things. But Americans in general just aren't unless you are.
Oh, I
soccer
get
person.
it. If you don't want to put in the effort to try something, just give up.
Hold it.
You got to get people
hear
there.
you.
though.
I'm
You
right
gotta
in
get 'em
between
there.
these guys.
But I only have so much time.
Well,
You got
20 minutes.
I was lucky. I was a baseball pitcher, and what do? You handle the ball every play? Mm-hmm. Guess what I played in football? Center. Do you handle the ball on every play?
Well, there you go.
Now, why would I watch a sport? And I've tried. I coached my kids in soccer at the Y. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the shape they're in. But when I see a group running left, then I see a group running right, and a few guys hanging in the middle, and I see the ball go from here to there to there, and then a referee calls a red flag on a guy because he ran into somebody like Americans. I'm like, that was a good play. And they want to throw the guy out of the game. So I go, how can I watch this with my mentality? Now, I know I'm older and I'm stuck like this.
So a sport you can't have brute force in and you can't touch the ball every play on is something you're not interested in.
Right.
It took a good story like that.
You're finally getting it. Battleship Kelly. That's the kind of guys we like.
Go
Another
your
point.
point. Yeah.
Last point. 2 weeks from now is the Belmont, which I will be covering. Sad day at Churchill Downs today. 12 horses died.
What?
At Churchill Downs this month, which is
Wow.
tragic. So the Churchill Racing Commission is meeting today to figure out what is going on. My own opinion, I believe that a lot of these drug situations with these horses and stuff, even though the drugs might not be in the system of the horses when they're checking them, it's the result of what's happened to them over time giving them drugs. So it's a shame because they're ruining the sport. Some of these guys, and some of them who I know, and I will not mention their names, they're ruining the game with what they're doing to these animals, and it's a shame because it's a great sport.
Well, I owned racehorses at the Meadows, and horses are great athletes. I used to jog 5 miles a day with a horse, warming it up with the sulky and everything like that. They're great athletes, and they take care of them. The owners that I had back in the 80s, I can mention the Snyders, Top Driver and Trainers. The feed that they gave their horses was the best. They took them out in the field, left them out to freshen up every so often. So when you race at the Meadows, I'll call it the Meadows even though it's Hollywood Casino Meadows, but it's always the Meadows to me. You walk on the track, it's limestone, and you all like the NASCAR. Well, there's a slope like this around the turns to make them go faster. It's like racing on 79. So there's a lot of wear and tear on the horses. And just like in life, you got bad teachers, bad lawyers, good teachers, good doctors, bad doctors. You have some bad people in the sport. And then when they're winning races like this and you see the problems, I always learned where there's smoke, there's fire. So I got to agree with Guns. That's a problem.
I saw one of those races and one of those horses that died with one of the best jockeys in the country with Luis Saez on him. This horse was the favorite. Was a $1 million horse. Moved to the front on the rail and his leg just snapped. And Saez, the horse went down. Saez almost got killed because the whole crew was behind him. Almost ran him over. So
well, we're talking horses, and I got a story from you from the Meadows, mid-'80s. There was a horse called Potty Time, and it was a fast horse. He would go out to the first quarter, and he'd be in the lead. And they usually call those a puller because they pull you and they go fast. Well, I bet on the horse. I'll never forget it. It was a 5-1 horse, and I bet $5 or $10 win, place, and show. And I had Potty Time. He wasn't a favorite. But he went to the lead. He gets to the first quarter, breaks his leg. First quarter, they bring, the vet out and the truck to get him, and they had to shoot him because he was in that critical condition. Imagine thousands of people there, and they hear a gunshot. There were kids crying and everything. Then I got another story. I owned racehorses, and they didn't have Lasix at the track. Sometimes meds they give for horses so they won't bleed. Lasix is a diuretic, but they found out Lasix would keep the lungs of horses from bleeding. Now, I had a horse named Stardy Oak, very powerful, strong horse, and he did well. He went from a quarter claimer up to the open races, but his lungs would fill up with blood. So I'm at another race, and I don't know what it is, but I bet on this horse called Big Bunny. And it looked like a good horse. It was a big, tall horse. I forget the driver and trainer, but the horse is in the lead coming down to, I'm at the finish line where you have the finish line there. I'm standing in the grandstand area, so I could see right where the line is. I look, he's coming. The other horses are 3 or 4 lengths behind. Blood comes out of his nose. He staggers, falls down before the line. He had a heart attack. So I have seen these things personally. When I hear it, I always want to know more about the trainer in the barn. And I'll leave it at that. So they should investigate it. I believe it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Pennsylvania. A lot of families have been there generations. The Snyder family, they're 5th generation from Ohio, and they're known as blacksmiths. Yet Doug Snyder just won his 6,500th race. So they have some skills, and they have careers and have raised families and other things. So it is important, but the health of the animals to me means much, and you got to help them out. So that's my little diatribe there. And we can have, with On Location, we got to do Nick.
Jeez.
Well, I cut Nick out with, yeah.
He don't have nothing to say.
Yeah, Nick got nothing. Sorry about that. I was on my rampage there. All right, Rowan, we got to go to VIP time, not Harry time. Oh, we're on.
I'm seeing some hashtags come recently because for some reason these people that call themselves journalists on Twitter like to put these hashtags out there, fire Shelton and fire Charrington, and I get upset because it's easy. It's easy when we can just say fire the people in charge. But I always like to ask because life's a little more intricate than that. Sports are a little more intricate than that. So let me humor this for a second, right? Bad month, terrible month, tragic fall off. It's been terrible. And if they don't win these next 2 games coming up against the San Francisco Giants, they will not have won a series in May. Bad month. I remember Chip and I used to talk about in 2021 how the Pirates didn't win a series at all that year. And, after the start that they had in April, we would have never thought it would collapse this soon, but it has. But what happens if we fire the general manager and the manager? Then what? I ask you. And please comment on Facebook. Why not? Comment on YouTube if you're in the live chat. Tell me, what do we do if we fire the manager and the general manager? That's right. There really is no answer. Who else are we going to get right now that's going to be available to manage the team that could do better than who has already been familiar with the team? Are you pointing at me?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to. I don't do that. But, no.
I could have a job. You got my vote.
I'm very good at talking, but I don't have the
got 2
answers.
votes.
I don't have the answers
3 votes.
myself. 3 votes? Okay, well, great. I guess if it were a democratic,
We salute you.
If it were a democratic process, I would disappoint you all. But anyway, I just
Why you want to be a dictator?
I don't get the quick.
Republican, maybe.
I don't get the quick trigger that happens where right now after good month, bad month. You can argue that Shelton shouldn't have gotten an extension. I'll give you that at this point. And I also don't like how Major League Baseball doesn't. A lot of Major League Baseball teams don't reveal the length of contracts for managers. So what extension did he get? How long was it? It could be as little as a year, as big as 5 or 6. We don't know because they won't tell us. So if you want to argue that, that's fine. But what is overhauling the team at this point going to do? I just want everybody to make sure that they're reflecting and they're aware of the fact that, a couple big injuries to the team, 1 position player, 1 pitcher who was on a roll, really kind of damaged this team. Connor Joe is now the number 3 hitter for the Pirates, and he's been moving forward. We really didn't expect that. He started out hot, but he struggled. The base running has kind of fallen. I mean, the team's identity was base running, and when you have O'Neill Cruz in the lineup to kind of create that threat toward the top of the order, it's easier for pitchers to want to focus on the batter so that the runners can steal. But now the Pirates don't really have a strong threat. I'm proud of the Pirates for responding to their the critique that they weren't hitting for power, because I think half the lineup homered in that first game against Seattle before they dropped the next 2. But I know Twitter's an endless rage machine. I say that all the time. It's just a place where you can express your just most terrible feelings, no matter how serious the subject is. But in terms of just kind of spreading the hashtag, we're not firing the manager yet. I don't agree with that. We're not firing the general manager yet. This wasn't even the season where they were supposed to break out. That was supposed to be next year. It's a shame we don't get to see O'Neill Cruz play this season. I understand that could be catastrophic and set the team back. I don't know. But this team has been injury-plagued. It was injury-plagued last season. It's injury-plagued this season. And it's not really the fault of the manager or the general manager. If you want to critique some of Derek Shelton's moves and then gather them up and make a case to fire him toward the end of this season, I'll hear you. I'm not going to hear that in May, especially when they're 2 games back in the division. It's just it doesn't make sense. You know, they've got to be familiar with the team, and anybody who's going to jump the gun and call for that is being a bit irrational in my experience. Hold them to account. You can criticize them, that's fine, but fire them now. Stop it. That's the opinion.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
The only thing I'll say is I wish you were around in 79 and could talk like that from being around 79 till now.
So you want them to be fired? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, then we're good. Yeah.
No.
No reason for me to be around in 79 then.
No, my point is you're being straight up that to all the fans out there who disagree with Nick, like Anthony Bacco says, you're right, Nick. Good points, Nick. A lot of them, I've been kidding around for 12 years on my show. Steelers win a game, they're going to the Super Bowl. They lose the next game, fire the coaching staff. So they're falling in to what I've seen for Steeler fans. You just haven't witnessed it in your years because you're only 24 and a half or so. So that your perspective is from that end. With us, we've seen the ups and downs.
No, but what I mean about the people on social media,
how are you going to change them?
People on social media just there are certain people that kind of stir the pot. They're like, let me, just say things, and that's going to get a response, and that's going to get me clicks and stuff. And then other people kind of follow on board because they're like, sure, yeah, I'm angry in this moment. Let's just recycle all of these tweets and posts and et cetera. And that's kind of what I'm saying is don't do that. Don't fall for it, especially with this subject. There's no need to start a hashtag to fire anybody on the Pirates management yet. That's all I'm saying. It's really the age of social media because I don't think.
Do you remember how nice it was when there was no social media?
And I'm fall victim to it too. I run in the house and get my phone.
What's your point?
And I totally agree with you, Nick, because first of all, these guys were given a team that weren't supposed to do anything. And I think that they have done a good job considering what they were given. We never expected them to even be competitive.
They've been in first place.
And you know what? And I'm going to get clobbered for this one, but people who sit in their basements in their mother's houses that don't even pay their utility bills, that want to talk about sports with guys who were athletes, I don't really pay attention to their opinion. But you're spot on, Nick. I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only problem is don't let it bother you. And I know it does.
Yeah.
Because when they're anonymous, I'd rather deal face to face. I'm face to face with you. I didn't disagree with you. I said just let you have the scars from 79 till now. What would you say about that just as a fan?
But you agree with me, right? We're not firing the guys. Okay,
I'm not against you. I know it's hard to comprehend because I'm 3 times your age, basically. So
his hero just be all white like ours.
Nick, delete. I deleted Twitter from all my devices about 2 months ago. My rage levels have just plummeted. The world is so much better place.
And that's what I'm
without
talking
Twitter.
about.
So much better.
I salute you, Mike. Thanks for filling in for Smoking Jim. He's all about putting 15 sweeties a day on Instagram, Facebook, and everything.
He is legend.
But again, it's your perspective. Your points are well taken. You think about it, but then you take it to heart. That heart got to harden a little bit with those type of people.
I thought that's what we do here. We let our
Well,
deepest thoughts.
Yeah, but it's affecting you, and I'm your friend. I don't want it to affect you. I'm trying to protect you.
Have I seemed angry today?
Yes.
Oh, well.
You know, hey,
Whoops.
Yes,
you know
did.
I was a councilman for 10 years
Oh, I pray for you.
in a district of 1.5 million people. You wouldn't believe the stuff that was said about me. I used to go in there and look to see what they were saying about me when I wasn't even there. So that would be good. We're going to run you for council, and then you'll get so battle tested, no one will be able to say anything to bother you ever again.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that all we're trying to do is toughen you up. You're a tough, smart guy already, and you keep doing what you're doing. You've helped my show out. You're on The Fan as Harry Callis, named after a Philadelphia announcer.
And you even got me listening to you, so you're on the right track.
Unbelievable.
Paul Haley goes, 43 years of losing is a tough pill to swallow with the Pirates. I salute you, Paul. That was my point. Nick got to understand that point. But your points are well taken.
43 years and I'm 24. That means I'm younger than their last World Series win. Unbelievable.
A little disclaimer. Little disclaimer. Now, he graduated from Waynesburg University.
I think he's younger than their last winning season.
Yeah, and I brought up I wish you were there from 79 till now and making your comments. So thanks, Paul, for helping him to realize my point. That made me feel better about it. So,
But you know the best part? Nick's going to be like 80, and he's going to be sitting here going, well, you'll still be here. But
I'll be long gone.
and he's going to go, boy, I wish the Pirates would win a World Series.
I have said before, I think they'll win in my
Why they
lifetime.
fired Charrington by now?
Hold it, wait. I got to clarify our bet. We're going to be running out of time. But Nick bet they're going to win 84 games, and I said they're not going to win 81. We bet a quarter. So I got a quarter on the line, and I hate to lose. So now you know my perspective with
true.
everything you said being the truth. On location, Rowan, take us there quick, and then we'll get this show on the road here. We got a Monsville prison fight in August. We'll get the date on when we're doing it. We'll be traveling down there. Great night of fights again. Always a pleasure going to the haunted prison. Nick sets it up. We do live streaming, so stay tuned for that. We're looking at potential Taekwondo shows again in the future with Grandmaster Zhang. And anybody else that would like to hire us out, we do work for pay and maybe a sandwich.
Aren't we doing an episode where you take a lesson with them? I thought that was in the agenda.
Nick is trying to coerce me to try to take lessons after I'm a Taekwondo board breaking machine of 3 boards, 1-inch solid boards. I brought them on last week.
Don't you want to be a black belt, though?
No.
Don't you want any belt?
No. All I want to know is I became more of a legend, and I broke 2 boards last year, 3 boards this year. That might be it for me. I might have to retire.
Oh.
And I'm in those shows. When he comes up with the next one, we had a little faux pas at the studio.
Yeah.
You'll see me break 3 boards. Good friend of mine, Vince Ornato, said, "Did you really break 2 boards?" He goes, "Send me the link." I sent him the link, and he goes, "I believe it now. Good show." So, board breaking machine, no lessons for me, but I'll make a little side thing. We can do a 10-minute show with you kicking and punching.
Nah, it wouldn't be the same.
See? What did I tell you?
They already
Put
figure
up-
I mean,
Put up or shut up.
I want to
what do you
see
mean,
break.
put up or shut up?
You tried to get me to do it. I shut up.
I
I'm
want
not
you
doing
to
it.
see. I want to watch you break 4 boards.
4 boards.
I could break cardboard.
Well, to all of you doubters, imagine breaking a 2x4 with your forearm.
I don't want to.
Now imagine breaking a 2x4 and plus another half of that and breaking it. That's the perspective. 3 inches. This forearm, not my head. Some said I could do it with my head. It's hard.
But you did it. I know you could do 4.
You'd be surprised though. Form is most of the battle. If you have good form, it's.
He has me in slow motion. Wait till you see that.
Well, I kick broke something. You're gonna get to see that too when the episode comes out. Should be
Nice.
out by Friday. But yeah, no,
What was it? A side kick?
It was a turning side kick. So
A turning side kick
Pivot and
for
then
the
bring the-
VIP.
Wow,
Oh, wow.
that's impressive.
They gave me a new shirt, like I said last time. Board breaking machine Levine on the back of the Taekwondo. They'll do something if he does it again, and if he keeps going to lessons every week. We got to have that each week, no
you know
matter
what-
how tired
no,
you are.
What we need to have is you participate in just one lesson.
I'm a mercenary for $1,000.
Comment on Facebook. Come on, let Facebook.
Hey, the
let
only
them
thing
know.
I ever broke was a channel changer.
Whoa! You qualify.
I'll tell you what. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, comment. If you want Al to do a lesson, you want us to feature him at a lesson one of these times coming up soon, comment. Let him know how you feel.
I want to see him do like in those old Godzilla movies where he moves his lips, but his voice comes out after when he does it. So,
Hey, Anthony Bacco said Chopin Levine doesn't have to do a lesson. I salute you, my friend
You
from the
could do it
Post
on
Gazette
your-
and Press.
on your chef show, you could be like the sushi dude.
I may
You
have to
actually
think
frowned
about
upon
it.
that on the show. He said, "I'm not on the Food Network.
Yeah, I'm not.
methodical slices."
Yeah, I'm not. I'm like one at a time, and watch your fingers with the sharp Cutco knife. Stay tuned for that show. But hey, I always tell people I majored in ball busting. I minored in sarcasm. I switched it around for you guys because you guys have been ball busting all night. So I appreciate it. Stay Joey strong.